Hey there, it's Caitlin with Fragrance University, coming at you with another soap how-to. In this course video, you'll learn how to make your very own homemade soap with the cold process method. This is a step up from our previous video, so make sure you're prepared with the following supplies. To make cold process soap, you'll need large non-reactive beaker, digital thermometer, stick or immersion blender, silicone spatula, whisk, and a mold to pour your soap in. We will be using a 5-pound wooden loaf mold with a silicone lining. Because we'll be working with lye, you'll need some safety equipment like long sleeves and pants with no loose ends that could get caught, gloves that fully cover your wrists up to the sleeves, protective eyewear. The recipe we'll be showing you today is simple and effective for making a lovely bar of soap. It contains the 3 oils essential to soap making, as well as a little something extra. We'll need 52 ounces of oil in total, so let's take a look at the recipe. 16.64 ounces, or 32% coconut oil, 16.64 ounces, or 32% palm oil, 16.64 ounces, or 32% olive oil, 2.08 ounces, or 6% castor oil. Your oil mixture will take up 65% of the total recipe, which will come out to 80 ounces or 5 pounds of finished soap. Up next is the lye water solution, which will account for 31% of the recipe. For this, you'll need 16.05 ounces or 64.8% distilled water, 8.7 ounces or 35.2% sodium hydroxide lye. The final component of your soap will be the fragrance and the colorant. This will account for the remaining 4% of the recipe and includes 2.4 ounces or 3.25% skin-safe fragrance oil of your choice, 0.85 ounces or 0.75% colorant mixture consisting of 0.34 ounces of mica or pigment powder and 0.51 ounces of sweet almond oil. Our recipe can be scaled up or down based on the percentages provided if needed. To scent our soap, we'll be using Fresh Peach by AFI. To match, we picked out a sweet orange colored mica powder. When making cold process soap, it's a good idea to have everything pre-measured and prepared. This will make it a lot easier to move quickly when your soap has reached trace and you need to add fragrance and colorants. When you have all of your supplies and ingredients ready, it's time to start. The cold process method starts by dissolving your lye into distilled water to create an aqueous lye solution. Measure out your water and carefully add the lye. Stir gently as the lye dissolves and be cautious of the rising temperature. This will get very hot. Once the lye has fully dissolved, the mixture will be clear. It can now be set aside to cool while you prepare your oils. Combine all the oils except the sweet almond into a large bowl or beaker and place them in a pot of boiling water. Mix them together as they melt and homogenize. Now you'll need to check the temperature of both your oils and lye water solution. Before being combined, they should both be around 120 to 130 degrees. The two will incorporate best if they are within 10 degrees of each other. When the temperatures are right, place your immersion blender on the lip of the bowl or beaker diagonally and slowly pour the lye water solution down the stem of the blender. The surface tension will allow the lye water to drip down the blender without splashing onto your clothes or surrounding surfaces. Now it's time to blend. Start by pulsing the blender in short bursts, followed by hand stirring. At first, you'll see the mixture become a creamy color as it's blended. Continue varying between stirring and blending in short bursts until trace is reached. You'll know the mixture has reached trace when the trails of the soap from the blender hold their shape on the top of the rest of the soap. Trace is also evident by the tracings the prongs of the immersion blender leave when it's placed in the mixture. Once you've reached trace, it's time to add your fragrance and colorant. Pour in your fragrance and hand stir with your whisk. Then pour your pre-mixed colorant into the soap bit by bit until it reaches your desired color. It's important to mix the fragrance in with the whisk. If you use the immersion blender, your soap may become too thick to pour. Once all of your additives have been put in the soap, pour it all into the mold of your choice. Don't worry if the tops of your bars aren't smooth in appearance. They can always be cut or shaved down later. If you notice cracking in the top of the bar, it's okay. This is a result of high temperatures and won't have any negative impact on your soap itself. Give the mold a couple of taps on your work surface to remove any air bubbles trapped inside. What you do next with your soap is completely up to you. You can choose to force it to gel by keeping it in the oven on the lowest setting for an hour or wrapping it in blankets for insulation. If you don't want it to go through gel phase, place your mold on an elevated surface like a cooling rack and store it in a cool, dry room. You can also choose to just leave the soap how it is and let it do whatever it may do naturally. It may gel partially, fully, or not at all. Now all that's left is to let your soap sit in the mold for about a week to fully harden and cool before it cures. Once a week has passed, you can unmold the soap and cut it into individual bars using a knife or wire cutters. The soap needs to cure for 4 to 6 weeks to allow all of the water inside to fully evaporate. If the bars are used before the full curing time, you won't get as much use out of them. Uncured soap bars are soft and will get used up much faster than those that have been left out as long as possible. It may seem tempting, but the long wait time will be totally worth it. With that, your cold process soap is done. Congrats on making your very own soap from scratch. It takes a lot of time to perfect this process, so don't get discouraged if you don't get it right the first time. Experienced soap makers have years of experience under their belts. Remember that soap making is a science, and no recipe or tutorial can replace your own research and experimentation. If you want to learn more methods of soap making, stay tuned for more Fragrance You how-tos. Up next, we'll be making hot process soap. We hope to see you there. My name is Caitlin, and thank you for watching Fragrance You. Bye!